Welcome to the creative side of things,
where we empower and inspire business owners and entrepreneurs to tap into their inner creative,
from standing out in saturated markets
to debunking and challenging the status quo.
We'll learn firsthand from actual small business owners how they've applied creativity, imagination, and common sense to grow their businesses. I'm Javier, Chief Creator and Founder of High Ground Creative.
And I'm Megan, Founder and CEO of Cheek & Co. Clothing.
I'm Gen X and her dad.
I'm Gen Z and his favorite daughter.
Oh, that's debatable.
Well, it's not up for debate. Together we are creative thinkers,
design experts,
branding gurus,
imagination igniters,
and coffee addicts. Keep listening and we'll prove it to you.
Hey, you might learn something.
Imagine that.
Ready?
Let's get creative. All right, we're back with another episode.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, Megan.
Hi. Welcome to the creative side of things. And I am your co-host, Megan. And this to my right is my dad.
I am her father.
Yes. And what's your name?
Javier. Today it's Javier. Some people call me other names, and it just depends on the day.
Okay, so today's Javier. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. For there's no relation to Carlos, by the way. If people ever wondered, my name is Javier Santana. I
feel like we probably wouldn't be doing this if we were related to him.
Right,
we would
right.
have all the money. So.
We have this cool little intro, so let's kind of read it because it's kind of cool. We kind of worked on that, so pick it up on your end. See how it sounds. Tell us how it sounds, people.
What? So I was gonna just tell them what the podcast is.
Yeah.
We are here to inspire and empower anyone who will watch or listen or wants to tap into their inner creative.
Yes.
Because everyone is creative.
Everyone is creative, right? And as a reminder, we're going into this journey this season. It's a spiritual journey, right? In our backyard, and the theme is Acres of Diamonds. So today we're going to explain a little more in detail about that, but we're spotlighting glimmering gems in the community.
Locally, yes.
And these are not diamonds in the rough because they are shining already.
Because sometimes the most inspiring people are right next door.
That's right.
And so we're here they're already known, but we just want to share them to our audience as well.
Right.
So I'm really excited.
Very cool.
Very excited.
Oh, it's my turn?
You gotta stop addressing.
So
Then it's your turn.
I'm Mr. Improv. Come on, we've done some stuff together. I figure
it's not showing.
I go off script all the time. So people tend to look far and wide for gold, but often forget that the diamonds that are right there in their backyard and they're stepping on every day. So this season we're focusing on those.
Exactly.
Stop stepping on those diamonds. Pick them up and use them.
And see them, yeah.
And see them.
Big things often start small, and in the middle of our great nation, we've got some amazing voices and stories to share.
Yes, I agree with you, Megan. Yeah. So
I'm going to be introducing our guest today
because
I brought them into our podcast, and I'm so excited. I've known them for a long time, and you've met one, but not the other. Today was your first time meeting Luci, right?
It was. Are we going to do the quotes?
I'm getting to them.
Okay.
We worked really hard on getting some punny quotes.
I'm realizing that we work better without these.
You do, apparently. I'm doing fine. Okay. So, we worked. Well, he loves puns, and I want you to share your shirt as well.
Oh, yes. So everybody will see this?
Yes.
Amazing.
So good. You've seen the movie, right? Not that one.
I am the dog father. Oh. See, this is not a dyslexic shirt. This is actually
the dog father. Yes.
I'm sorry. I haven't been diagnosed, but I think I am.
I love it. It's so good. And thanks to Amazon Prime, it came in really fast.
I know.
It was really cool. So I'm going to share a quote it's dog related, but also creativity related. So Imagination is the leash that lets creativity run wild was a good one that I love.
Yes, it is the leash that, we have to let it run wild. It can't be constrained because then that's a problem.
Yes.
You have to let the mind wander and the mind be free so that you can be open to all these possibilities. If you start setting all these walls, then that's not creative.
Boundaries are great, but not really with creativity. Right. You need to just kind of let it flow.
Yeah, let us creatives just do our thing. Stop bothering us. Oh, did I say that out loud? All right, next quote. When life throws you a frisbee, catch it with imagination.
You worked really hard.
And catch it with imagination and run with it wild with creativity.
Love it.
I love it.
Is that good? Right? I'm sure you're throwing that frisbee and they went to a place where you didn't want them to go. right? They didn't bring
Or
it
they
back
just
to you.
stare at you.
They just stare
Like,
at
why
you?
did you do that?
Yeah, some dogs really don't like. My dog does not like frisbees. Only like squeaky or like the crinkly toys are like a huge like winner.
Right. So if you're watching this, obviously, or listening to it, you know who the guests are because we've had posts and clips and stuff like that. So it's not going to be a huge surprise. But
officially introducing.
We want to officially introduce because these two ladies are incredibly impressive in what they're doing. So we need to give them their due time. And Megan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So today we have a mother-daughter team, Rachel and Lucy. And I wanted to give a quick bio about their business. So it is called WiggleButts, cutest name ever. Started in 2019. They have award-winning training in Delaware. Reader's Choice in 2019, first state favorites for 2020, 2021, and 2022, as well as Stars of Delaware for 2020 and 2021. I always say it must be fun hearing just all your accomplishments read to you. I want someone to do that for me. It's so fun. But yes, so Rachel is certified dog trainer and has been in multiple shadowing programs with trainers around the country. Lucy has 15 years plus of experience with dogs in the shelter environment, as well as being a foster mom for dogs herself, which is amazing. So we want them to introduce themselves more than I can. So introducing Rachel and Lucy.
Hi.
So super
Welcome,
happy.
ladies.
Super happy to be here.
Thank you for coming in.
I know.
What?
It's a little distant. There we go. Closer to your mouth.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. So
Welcome.
welcome.
We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to have you guys here. When we started the theme of this early on, we were like, we got to have the WiggleButts ladies.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was like you guys were on that list from early on. So and
All right. Thank you.
That's a testament of what you've been doing because might not know it, but people are watching and people are seeing the success, and it's cool to see a small business like yours start in its humble beginnings, having mother-daughter and just taking it by storm. So congratulations.
Thank you. Sometimes she says that her boss is mean and I'm gonna fire
So
her
are you
and
like
stuff like that.
co-bosses? Like
Pretty much.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
So with a name like that, we have to share the backstory of like.
Yes.
So we had been like playing around with a couple different things and, just basic like, just like home pet sitting. And I'm at home, like all those kind of like, I don't want to say corny, but like,
Sweet
average.
and simple,
Yeah.
yeah.
So she's like, what about WiggleButts? And I was like, oh my God. And I'm thinking on like social media and website aspect of like, I don't want somebody Googling that and like something weird coming up because I for certain have typed in wigglebutts.com.
Just like twerking.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So, yes.
Okay,
So when I
okay.
tell people, I'm like wigglebuttsde.com. I'm like,
Okay.
don't just put.
You heard it.
So I was just like, no way. I was like, I don't know about it. So it kind of stuck. We started creating this logo that, had this super cute dog and the orange font, and it was like,
Nice.
okay. So like now we hear it's like, oh my God, I love this name and I love it so much and it's so different. And she's like, I told you.
She's like, don't overthink it.
Exactly.
And it reminded me of, so Rachel's a big Office fan, and it reminded me of monsters.com.
Yes.
And you hear like roaring, and he's like, it's
Monster.
monster.com. So make sure the DE's up.
Yes, WiggleButts DE. I like to tell people that. And like in the beginning, when, I've kind of streamlined our process for like onboarding and clients and stuff like that. So in the beginning, when I would just be getting calls and calls and calls, it's usually like the men that would call and they'd be like, is this, and I'm like, WiggleButts? And they were like, yes. And I'm like, they were afraid to
You're
say
like,
it to me or
it.
something.
Say it or I'm not like working with you.
It's just like the hesitant pause. I'm like, yes, it is.
You can say it.
Megan, I need to call you out because you said WiggleButts and my mind never went there. I'm not sure why yours did. I don't know who your parents are, but they need to be spoken to. I did not go there. No.
Yeah, it's just happy when the dog sees you and they get so
Yeah,
wiggly. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
No twerking.
No. She brought up that if you type it in without the DE, what could happen. So I put that in.
I know that. It was just.
I was
fun to
thinking
make
of
fun
dogs.
It was fun to make fun of you. That's all.
But so from the get-go, were you planning on partnering, or did you join later, or was it always
So it was always us together.
Cool.
So I went to college to be a teacher. I have a teaching degree, all of that, and went through I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up, and like The only thing I've ever was like, I could do this was like an animal control officer because I love like cops and like that kind of stuff because I'm so nosy and like.
And you also love the aspect of the murders.
Yes,
too,
yes, I'm very
into all that.
Yes.
This could have gone either way. I'm glad you went towards the other way.
Exactly. So, I wasn't happy at school and like all this stuff, and so it's always been dogs in the home, fostering, it was always dogs. So when we see other like pet sitters that are just like, I love dogs, and it's just like, it's so much more than I love dogs, that we've kind of created a name of, we're here to support you. Our training space now is like, hey, this is our judgment-free zone. It's more than I love dogs. Like, we want to be the experts in the field here. And with her 15 years of experience, she goes above and beyond for her clients. Like, she's never going to say a word. She'll drive around from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. taking care of dogs and go above and beyond for those clients. Yeah. So,
and I think everyone I know has used you in some aspect, whether it's checking in on their dog on vacation, whether it's a wedding, which is a really cool service. Could you share, like, I feel like you're the only person who does that. Like, I am always recommending it.
Yeah. So when we started, and it was just primarily dog walking, we added in wedding day pet care, like attendant stuff. So what we'll do is, we necessarily don't know these dogs, so we'll go and pick them up, hopefully like surprise.
Yeah.
So with all of our skills and things like that, we've never had a bad experience or a dog that was like, oh, stranger danger. They're always like, all right, I'll get in your truck. And stranger, yep. So we'll go to the venue, and usually it's, the couple this is their family, like their dog is their family. So pictures, ceremony, like stuff like that. So we just wanted to be like an outside like person. So it's not like, hey, the cousin, the uncle, the friend is having to leave to go take care of the dog and bring them back and take them. So they're missing those like moments. So we're kind of somebody on the outside. Like I like to tell people when they're nervous about like, oh, my dog. It's just like, we're dog trainers during the week. I'm like, we have plenty
we're not
of skills,
just some random,
plenty of tricks up our sleeves. So we're just somebody on the outside that can kind of like hold and handle, and so nobody's missing.
That's really
I like that. That's a really personal approach, and I'm going to ask this question to Mom because she's not speaking. I know you could easily answer this. So is it true? Is there something true with, I've heard this before, that you're also training the owners? Is that, tell me about that.
Yes. It's usually the owners.
Okay.
Like,
dogs are fine, right?
Yeah, the dogs are fine.
The dogs are the easy part.
We'll get there, and they're like, well, he never acts like that for me. Why is he behaving for you?
Interesting.
And so it's all about the relationship. Sometimes I feel like we might be marriage counselors too, because there's oh, honey.
It exposes like.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Wow.
And it's like a lot of like, well, I told you, and then it's like, it's
That
marriage
must be
counseling.
really awkward.
Sometimes it's like,
that happens with family sessions as well.
Oh, I bet.
It brings out a lot.
So training dogs, training humans.
But I think it's great because you're like, well, I did study to be a teacher. Well, you are just for dogs.
Yeah, you both have the spirit of very kind of like, it's okay, and so, so you feel like you're pretty even keel. You kind of have to be that way, right?
Pretty much. When like we started, like we never wanted to like offend anyone, or like when we're talking about training and stuff like that, like that's somebody's like family member to them. And within the past couple of years, like us coming into our like tough love kind of with clients, because you don't know what you don't know sometimes. So it's like we kind of have to educate, but a little bit of tough love with them. So I think most of our clients appreciate that because, they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. So that's why we're kind of creating a space for like support and
so you're building
non-judgment.
Trust there. Yeah. So what was the hardest, any situation that sticks out that was your most challenging that you've encountered with a dog? I know you told me about marriages, so I understand that. But is there any specific?
Well, because you were in the shelter, and I'm sure you see a lot of different personalities there.
Yeah, and shelter behavior is different. How they act in a shelter isn't necessarily how they're going to act in a home. So we like to encourage owners to set those rules from day one.
Okay.
So instead of, oh, I feel sorry, you were in a shelter and I rescued you and I'm going to love you, because love is not enough. So you need to set those rules, that foundation in the beginning. After you've let the dog do whatever they want for 2 years and it's a problem now, then you're like, oh, hey, I don't like that so much and I'd like you to fix that.
Yeah, I mean, I just witnessed that with my sister. She lives in Virginia, and she has, she's running into similar situations where, she's had the dog for 4 years, and it's out of control. Like, and I know my family, they'll probably hear this and yell at me, but it's high energy. We're high energy, so
it's probably just mimicking the chaotic energy.
So, but they're
Sometimes it's like that.
They're sending them to boot camp. It's not like they're
Yep.
doing this whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like we like to tell people, it's like either you're bringing puppy home or you're bringing that adult dog from the shelter, make it small, make their world small, and then increase those freedoms, because it's hard to bring them back when they're all the way out here.
Okay.
Your dad says something. It's easier to change a yes or a no to a yes than a yes to a no.
Yeah, yeah.
Did I get
with
that right?
humans too, with kids. as
So
well.
like, if you're allowing something, and then all of a
Take it away.
sudden, nope.
Right.
Or like, my example is always table scraps. If you're gonna give a dog
Just kinda
table
stop,
scraps,
right.
then they're just gonna keep asking. They never know when you might say yes again.
Yeah, but
So
if you
it's-
never have, they don't know any better.
Exactly. They don't. Yep. Exactly.
So do dogs like thrive with those boundaries and schedules?
Absolutely. So it's just like, just like kids. If we
structure.
just kind of let them do whatever, we see dogs that, pace around the house. They watch out the window. They, have all their things whenever they want. Then it's kind of hard to, they're allowed to do whatever they want.
And you can't
Like,
blame the dog. 'Cause it's
Yeah,
like-
why should I
listen
listen?
to you?
So it's easier to routine and structure their life so that they're like, hey, I know what's expected. Like, I know I'm supposed to be doing, and,
Nice.
putting those things in place so that you have an easier relationship with your dog.
So,
Yeah.
so we can agree that training dogs can be rough,
Oh my gosh.
but the rewards are positively perfect.
I'm really sorry.
This is my 10th dad joke of the day. Thank you for laughing, everybody. Thank you.
It was good. You put it in a really good spot.
Thank you.
So could you tell us about this new building? So you are now
Absolutely.
in a physical location.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. It's
a big deal.
Big endeavor, and it's scary, and we've had snakes and leaks and
You
things
dealt
like
with
that.
things here.
So it's special. But it just kind of happened. Like, we had been kind of like toying with the idea. So when we started our training sessions in 2020, we were going to people's houses. They were coming to my house. We were meeting places. So it was kind of all over the place. So we were just like, okay, like, do we get a space? Do we not get a space? And we couldn't find like the right thing. Either it was super expensive, or they didn't want dogs in, or it
Which
just kind
defeats
of
the purpose.
Exactly. So
I didn't even think about that.
yeah. So we had a hard time with, we found a spot, and then they were like, oh, we're not sure about dogs. And we were like, we're not leaving them here. Like, they're always going to be with a human.
It's not a kennel.
Exactly. I'm like,
Yeah,
they're coming
yeah.
and they're leaving with a human. So when did we see that space? July?
I think it happened real quick.
It did. So we were just like, okay, this space. And the guy was like, let's go see it. So they showed us this first space, and, it's industrial warehouse kind of like spaces. So we go in, and there's just like holes in the walls. The person that was in it, like, abandoned all of their stuff. There's like probably 500 pallets in there and just garbage. And the guy was like,
Wow.
don't even go in the bathroom. He was like,
no.
this is ridiculous. So we were like, okay. So then there was another space that used to be a CrossFit gym at the end. And so we were like, can we see that one? And so it'd been empty forever. And so we go in, and it has double doors on the outside. Like, it's facing the road. So we were just like, if we're going to get one, like, why don't we do this one? It's a lot nicer than the other one. And so
And it's on the end, so
Mm-hmm.
people
Oh, that's
can
great.
see it.
So facing the road
That's
and on
great.
that. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, because if you have eyeballs when people are driving, that's a really good thing.
So it just kind of happened, and we were like, well, this is
jumped in.
yeah. So there's 2 groomers and a shelter right in the
Oh,
vicinity.
that's
So there's
perfect.
like lots of dog things going on, and like, hey, I drove by to the groomer and I saw you guys.
That's
and
really good.
so stuff like that. But there was a lot of sweat and hard work and expenses that go into that.
Tears too.
Yes, probably a lot of tears. But it's beautiful now, and the family has put in a lot of work there, a lot of nights and weekends, and just trying to create a really nice space for our clients and community kind of come and have a space. We've been running our group classes and training sessions, as well as we're going to start doing some like community events and things like that. So
That's great. I was going to ask, have you gotten to collaborate with those local dog vendors, if you will call them that?
Yeah, so we started the groomer a couple buildings down from us. She had opened up her space to us because we were, wanting to kind of get into the group class kind of realm, and, we didn't have a space. So she was like, yeah, come use my space on Saturdays. I'm not grooming. And so we were like, okay.
So
then
nice of her.
We started kind of like getting this momentum for people that wanted group classes, and we've been packing them out for the last couple months now.
Nice.
So, and especially we really hit hard on our puppy class because we're like, hey, if you guys get them under control now, then it's going to be a lot easier than
And you get to play with puppies.
Yeah.
So win.
That should be the tagline. And you get to play with puppies.
Do you guys have any jobs that the other doesn't? Like, do you focus on heavy on one, or is it all duo?
She does a lot of narrating where I do a lot of like hands-on. So when we're doing like private sessions, she's basically like, okay, this is what she's doing. Look at your dog. Look at where her hands are. Look at what, trying to tell people like to watch. And she's always like, she makes it look easy, but because it's just funny when we transfer back to the owner and the dog's like, hey, I do that with that lady. Like with you, I can pretty much do whatever I want.
Okay.
That just changes.
So let's shift it for just a split second to the business side, because this is the sexy fun part. Then you gotta wear the billing hat and the marketing hat and all those. So I mean, there's two of you, and you're starting to grow. It has a big conversation. So as to scale to now you got to bring people in, and so how does that work? Who's the administrative part?
She does all that.
Okay.
Do you have a staff at this point, or is it just you guys?
So just us. We have some part-time dog walker sitters that kind of fill in when we need to. Okay. My recent hire within the past year was a bookkeeper, because that stuff.
Yep, you got to make sure. Great decision. Somebody else is touching your money that you trust instead of you being the that.
I swear by that being like the first step to
Good move.
A staff member.
Yes.
Or
And so it's so cool because within the recent years of being in the pet industry, there's so many niche-y pet. She only does bookkeeping for dog trainers, pet sitters, people in the pet industry, because she ran a team of pet sitters for many, many years, but she has the bookkeeping accounting background. So it was really cool that she understands where the money's going and things like that. So,
and that frees you to be in the creative space. So, that's the, to grow your business. See, there's that, a lot of business people have heard this, but, there's working in your business and working on your business. So, being, this week is actually 3 years we've been in business, High Ground, and there's 7 of us now, but it's been a struggle for myself to find the people, and we have a great team to work, so I can work on the business rather than in it. So when you find people you trust, that's a big deal.
My next person is somebody that can have a phone and be like, hey, call that person and talk to that person. Because I'm not a talk on the phone kind of gal.
I would give an arm to have an assistant.
Yes. I was like, I just need somebody to ride around in my truck with me, and they can have my phone and they can answer the emails and the texts and all this stuff.
Nonstop. Now, with creativity, what's fascinating about what you do is I love seeing things I wouldn't think of that you can brand, literally dog toys. How do you go about with the safety of it as well, but then also branding it to WiggleButts? Because I do wholesale for clothing, but you're literally finding wholesale like you have the feeder helper thing where it's I saw you had where it makes them not eat as fast. It's they have to find
those things
the
that stick out on the plate or something?
A puzzle?
Yeah, the puzzle. Yeah, I don't know what they're called, but
either a puzzle or maze bowls or stuff like that.
And the little it looks like a trampoline, but it's the thing that the dog sits on. And
the pet cots.
Yes, yeah. So you can brand all these things. That's so cool.
You resell these?
So those stay in our facility for sessions and stuff like that. But we do. I just got the big box of koozies. We do also if you do wet dog food. We have the cans or the top that goes on top of them. So it's hey, if I didn't use the whole thing, you can snap the little lid on.
Instead of tin foil in the fridge or something.
Okay.
We have
frisbees, tennis balls.
Hey,
poop bag holders.
Yes.
Anything I can put my logo on it, just throw it at it.
Yes.
That's a tongue twister. WiggleButts swag.
Yeah. Because I use we use BarkBox, and we can't use the treats because our dog is so sensitive. So we do double toy, which is, I have so much fun opening up a bark box.
Yep.
It is so fun.
It's so cute.
Like, it's themed. Like, they
so
had
it's a monthly
groovy theme.
box?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a monthly subscription.
Yeah, I get Bully Make
I
box,
haven't heard of that.
and I just get all the toys.
Yeah.
And I have it for our fosters.
So how many fosters do you currently have? Or is it random? Like,
It's random.
Okay.
I normally have 2.
She usually takes the tough guys. So it's almost like boot camp at first, and then it turns into summer
Okay,
camp.
so let's explain, because for some of our listeners, including myself, what are you talking about?
she fosters dogs.
Oh, so literally, you literally have them in your house, and they're
Yes.
somebody else's.
They're from the shelter.
They're no one's
Are
dog.
the owners in jail?
No,
Okay.
they're waiting to be adopted. And
Okay.
they're waiting to be adopted.
Okay.
So, and it's hard to tell what they're truly like. They're living in a cage. And so
Okay.
Some of the ones that struggle with cage life come to me. And so I typically have 2 at a
Okay.
time. I only have 1 right now. And he hadn't had any interest yet. And he's been with me probably 6 weeks. I had him at Killen's Pond today and encountered a couple who stopped and asked about him. He was wearing his Adopt Me harness.
That's smart.
Okay, I see.
And they asked about him, and I told him where he was from and told him where to call. And the adoption coordinator called me this afternoon and said they
It's
want
happening?
him.
Oh, that's so great.
Yes.
Just
So,
taken to the park.
yes, exactly. And I almost didn't go today because it was going to rain.
Okay.
So divine appointment there.
Yeah,
He's
that's
getting
awesome.
adopted. So there's
awesome.
2 in the wings waiting for his spot. So I'll get the next one this
So
weekend.
if you're listening and need a dog,
Right there. Right there.
that is so cool. So how did you get into, like, I don't know what to call it, the dog industry, but so what did you study and how did you get into this field?
I just have always loved animals. As a child, I wanted to be a vet, but I don't do so good with blood and guts.
Okay.
So that was, not my thing. And so I've always owned dogs. I even helped a breeder with show dogs as a child. So I've just always loved dogs. As a family, we started volunteering. So that's kind of where I got my actual start. And then I took a position in the shelter and just absolutely loved it.
So but let's go deeper here.
Okay.
There's that moment where like, I'm going to start a business.
I feel
How
like
did-
Rachel was like,
how
we're
did that happen?
monetizing. Like, you were like,
No.
I love dogs.
Oh, sure.
And
I mean,
you're like,
I know your husband. You guys are very entrepreneurial and stuff. But there's a moment when it's like, this is kind of, when does it become a thing?
Because I have to reel her in sometimes. She's like, we'll just do it for free. And I'm like,
No.
no. No.
Give it away. I just want to help people.
Oh, no, that's good. And you can do that and still collect.
and then you balance each other out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big heart, and that's why you succeed. But then
the
the
bills have
moment,
to get paid.
that moment, the business, it started, the spark was you, like, oh, I'm going to start this.
I think we were both kind of just like, why don't we do, like, she was such a, and has always been like a trusted name in like the dog people. Like
Okay.
if anyone has any dog questions or dog things or anything, they're hitting her inbox.
Okay.
Even hey, I have to get rid of my dog. Do you know anyone that wants a dog? And she's going to give them either resources or training advice or things. Cause we would rather a dog stay in their home and give them the resources of, hey, why don't you try these things? Or, then we can kind of go to the next steps. Then, hey, your dog has to go to the shelter.
Okay. And there's a point when we all, as entrepreneurs, know this, the let me pick your brain part of your career where you're giving it away.
Yeah, where your time.
And there's, you're an expert, but you're like, hey, let me pick your brain. But now you have to shift it to
Come to our class.
Come to our
Yes,
class.
we've gotten to that point where it's like people send us emails with just all of these things and question after question and all of the things and how can you help? And it's just like we would either like back and forth like, well, tell them this and tell them, and it's just like, why don't you book a session with us? Why don't you book
Yes.
a virtual session with us? Like instead of like we've gotten to a point where it's just like, hey, all of your questions can be answered with a private session. Like instead of giving all the information out for free, because this is our job.
And a lot of the time, you can't really tell what the problem is
Through
from
an
their
email.
questions because in multi-dog homes, inevitably the wrong dog is getting blamed for whatever the behavior is. It's like, no, it's not that one, it's that one.
Some of them are smart. They set the other one up, right?
Right.
And
so
no
it's
one
hard
wants to be told that you didn't train your dog well. Yeah. You have to humble yourself. And no one wants to hear that.
Thinking of more creative. Oh, here's a good question. See? Right brain going. So tell us about this virtual thing you do, because that's very creative. Obviously post-COVID, that's a thing, but you applied it to your world. Tell us about what that service is. What do you do, and what's it used for?
Yeah, so we have we've worked with people, a woman over in Germany, to military people, to even people like within the state. So it's like, hey, this is a 30-minute session, not even necessarily like hands on the dog. It's kind of us coaching them through whatever the issue is. Okay. So it's like, hey, why don't you try all these things and then kind of go from there. Okay. So it's not even necessarily like, all right, get your dog. Like, this is kind of like, we call it owner's coaching. So it's like, hey, we're telling you things to be doing and then kind of working from there.
That's cool. So
and then it allows you to expand out of Delaware.
Right. And it's, we want to teach people that it's so much more than just obedience. I had a very fearful dog. And I rescued him. I got him out of the shelter, and I was going to love him. And he was going to then blossom into this amazing, social, wonderful dog. And I took him to obedience class. He's good canine citizen certificate, got all that. I would take him places, and he hates humans. It's just not. I can't change that about him.
And that's because he was born outside and lived outside for like a year. So he didn't get those typical social puppy things and exposure and socialization. So he just had no clue.
Absolutely fascinating.
So
because you think about it, somebody adopts a dog from the SPCA or from something. There's a past, there's wounds, there's trauma, and we don't know about them, right? So. Well, that's a bad dog. Well, we don't know
nature versus nurture.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they put the little it's so cute at at a pet store. They'll put their little bio, and it's from the dog's perspective. It's like, hi, I'm this, and I went through this. I have some trauma. Or I hate cats. It's like, and you have cats, you said? So that's great when you're training or you're fostering that they're getting that as well.
Yeah, because one of my recent fosters, Tansy, came and she didn't like cats. Apparently, she didn't like cats. I'm like, well, she's going to learn to like them in my house because there's 4.
Yeah, right.
And she was fine with them. So sometimes the reaction of a certain cat or the dog's on a leash and, there's just different things. It's not necessarily that they don't like cats.
Yeah.
Right.
And they all have different personalities. Like my cat is, number one, she's a black cat, and they're known to be a little bit more to themselves.
She's evil.
To him. She has boundaries, and you have to respect her boundaries.
She hates me. I looked at her and she looked at me, and I think she's planning my demise. She's planning. She's like, next time you're here, I'm going to kill you.
And with the trauma stuff, she was a little bit more social before we had an emergency visit to the vet, and after that, she got very timid. Right. And I had the vet call me and say, so we had to sedate her because she scratched our vet really bad here. And I was like, okay, I guess I have to pay extra to sedate my cat just to get a checkup. So then I get her home and she's the sweetest cat. She just is not leaving the home at all, which is understandable.
So Megan, this question's for you.
Yeah.
Well, everybody. Do they have exorcisms for dogs and cats?
It's called getting them fixed.
Which you have not done that yet, right?
No, I have. It depends on the animal.
I understand.
You can decide if you want to do that.
That's all fair. That's fair.
but
this is a dog show, not a cat show, Megan.
I know, but with some dogs, it makes a difference if you have a cat at home.
Fair.
But with what you were saying, I wanted to bring up on your website, you have your core values, which are integrity, education, and excellence. And I didn't know if either of you could touch on that and where those came from and why.
Yeah, how do they impact your day-to-day operations, and how did that come about? Because I know core values, we really focus on those.
And I like the term excellence because it's different than perfection because it's what you do is not going to be perfection.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about progress over perfection, and like especially with our puppy class, like it can be chaos, and so we never want anyone to feel like, oh God, my dog's not doing it. We're like, this is more information for you, and then take it home and do it. So you know, the progress over perfection, because hey, there are no perfect dogs. Like we just have to do our best with them. But with all of that, you know, we still dog walk. So it's just like we go into people's homes. We're going into your house when you're not there. So it's just like that's something huge, and that's, you know, kind of a struggle point with us. It's like, hey, we would love to hire somebody, but you know, we're such a trusted name, and that's not to be like, oh, you know, boastful or whatever, but it's just like we're a trustful name in the community that it's like, I wouldn't want to hire that wrong person that's like, hey, I'm going to swipe your stuff or something like that. So
yeah, because that's a big responsibility. I know you feel the weight of that, and so that's why integrity is like the one of your.
We're being trusted to go to someone's wedding.
Yes.
With a dog you might have not met before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That we're going to show up.
Have you had a crazy experience with that service
At a wedding?
yet, where the dog you're like, sorry?
I've had 2.
Okay.
And I think the couple was surprised I actually made it with the dog, because it was just
yep.
like he wasn't a people
tell
person
us.
either. He wasn't a people person, and so I go to get this big Bernese Mountain Dog, and he was like, "I'm not going with you." Like a little bit of cheese, a little bit of luring, and he got in the car and he went. And the husband was like, "Wow, like." How'd you get him in the car? I struggled to get him in the car to go to the grooming. And I'm just
You're like, why did you put me in this situation? They knew.
I think it was a test.
And
I passed.
And it just happened so fast because we were like so booked up with weddings that weekend, and we have like a team of like, because usually 2 of us go, because it's just easier, you know, handling and things like that, making sure, you know, we're supposed to be and things like that.
And I'm a perfectionist, so I'm in behind the scenes making sure like, hey, that guy's tie's crooked, and that guy, you know,
doing a little
that's
extra
like
work.
me, like,
Or the dog's bow tie. Like,
Yes.
so cute.
I don't know how many beers she's held and dresses she's fluffed, but so it was the opening. It was the first wedding at Willowbrook, and let me just say, I love Willowbrook. It is beautiful, and this is their shout out. They have such a nice staff, and like they're so kind there. And so it was their daughter's wedding. It was the first wedding there, and so they contacted us on Wednesday, and it was Saturday, the wedding, and we were like, okay, so like we kind of had
this is your first time doing.
No, this was not our first wedding.
Okay.
We kind of had to adjust fire and like split the teams up, and it's like, okay, you're going here. So, I think our favorite ever was our first wedding. So we get this sweet little tripod dog. He's got 3 legs. He's got the cutest little bow tie.
That's like funny, not funny.
Yeah,
I want to laugh.
so cute. He's got the cutest little bow tie on. This couple was so chill. They were just enjoying the day. That's like awesome. We see a lot of stress, and sometimes people aren't so kind during weddings. You can probably relate.
Megan knows a little bit about that.
Currently out of the industry.
We have had, you know, not so kind
and into
moments.
therapy.
Yes. So I always just think of the first wedding, because all of a sudden they were having this outdoor ceremony, and the sky just goes like black, and the wind starts happening, and it's raining, and it starts to hail, and it's coming down, and we're just like, oh my God, like, we're like, what are we gonna do? And so they were like, we'll just have the wedding inside. And so we're like,
chill.
okay, they were so chill. They're like, all right. And the groom was like, hold my beer. And he grabbed the dog, and they did it. And it was just like, they were so chill and so like relaxed, where we've gone to plenty of weddings where it's just like, my favorite phrase to use behind the scene is, weddings make people weird. I'm just like, it really
Brings out
does.
a part of you.
Yes.
yeah, we had one, and the coordinator or whatever is like, did you try giving them treats?
Oh God.
I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. Maybe you could show me how to do this.
Oh, I love that.
You could show me, and then I can learn.
And that was
Did you try telling them no?
Yeah, that was an experience too. That was, if I ever were to pass away in a moment, it would have been that moment.
It just makes you question.
That was
your
probably
whole
Aunt Sue.
feel.
Isn't there like always that
Yeah.
one aunt
Or
or
the
uncle in the
mother.
wedding, or the mother?
So we go to this wedding, beautiful Indian wedding, like absolutely stunning. They have 2 golden retrievers, you know, so we're trying to get them used to the space. And so they have like probably $1 million worth of flowers and these vases and full of water and candles and all of this. Like, it's stunning. And so they want the dogs, the coordinator tells us, wants them to go up on this plastic little stage and walk this runway down and like all this stuff. So we're like, okay, let's practice. And so the dog, like before this, thank God she said, let's practice. So she gets her dog up, and that's the dog that I thought was going to be nervous about it. And so she goes up, she does or whatever. I take my dog up. He starts panicking, and he's knocking off the vases. They're crashing to the ground. There's flowers, there's water, and I'm like, and I just dive to the ground, and I start picking stuff up. And I'm just like, every single person in that room was like killing me with their eyes.
But it's not your fault.
You can feel their eyeballs burning into you. Right?
I was mortified. I was like, I have to pass away now. So that's that coordinator that she was like, well, did you try treats? And I'm just like, this dog.
One thing after another.
This dog does not want to get up on this little plastic slippery stage. So we talked to the bride, and the bride was like, oh my gosh. She was like, and I was like, how about we do this instead? And she was like, perfect, great. And it
worked.
And that's how they were able to use creativity.
Yeah, they're creative. And we talk about this all the time, but sometimes we've been talking a lot in season 1 about creativity and finding moments to kind of foster that and grow it. But we're tested in how much in those moments where the heat is applied and there's pressure. And those are the moments where we can be very creative and try to figure out, solve problems.
And the best thing you can do is what you showed was
right.
and then react. Yes.
Because I'm an ambassador for WiggleButts. I'm an ambassador for WiggleButts. I am not Rachel right now.
Yeah.
She gets it. Because I'm sometimes like...
Right.
Like, fix your face. Fix your face.
Yes, yeah.
Fix your face.
Smile, smile. And I'm like...
Smile, be fluffy.
Be fluffy. Oh, and we got to use that.
Yes.
Yeah, the face thing is so real.
I'm just not a fluffy person. I'm just kind of to the point. And she's like, you have the fluffy.
That's who I want to train my dog, though. Someone like that. So.
You want fluffy?
No, which she said how Rachel is.
Sorry.
Just to the point with it sometimes.
I would need someone to just tell me how it is and like this is why your dog isn't listening. And I'm like, thank you.
There we go. So so what's your Luna, right?
Luna, which I thought was unique until after I named her, and it's everyone's name, and I'm so sorry that I named her that because it's not unique at all.
I just remember Luna from like Bear in the Big Blue House.
That's why I named her that, because we're Hispanic.
Remember that show?
Yeah.
Disney show?
Yeah.
Welcome to
But
the
it is
Blue
very
House.
common, and I apologize.
It is moon in Spanish.
I know,
and in Latin.
but everyone names their dog Luna. Luna, what's another common for you guys that you...
Top 3.
Luna.
Right now in our circle, Maverick.
Oh.
Nola.
No,
That one's in our
pretty.
circle right now. Max.
Or Molly.
Okay.
Who
That's
else?
cute. I hadn't heard Nola before. That's so pretty.
No Javis.
No. Mm-mm. My favorite though is like the human names. We picked up a dog to go to a wedding. His name was Brian. He had a whole tuxedo on. I'm like, all right, Brian. Like it just cracks me up.
So,
I love when they
so here's a funny story. Jerry Seinfeld's dog's name is Javier.
Really?
Oh.
There's a show he has on Netflix about riding in the car with comedians and coffee, or I think it's called. So he takes a comedian, they go have coffee together and they have a conversation. So there was one conversation he was having, I think it was with Will Ferrell. He was talking to him about his dog, and his dog's name is
That's
Javier.
cool.
I love a person name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a
Walter.
George.
Walter.
I
That's
like
a cool
Walter.
dog name, yeah.
I was trying to go for like the Halloweeny, so we had Luna and then we had Sabrina after Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So that was the vibe I was going for. And our Luna loves showers, and literally a shower, because we don't have a bathtub. If you have a bathtub, you're so blessed. I love going to hotels just so I can bathe in a bathtub. But she literally loves like specifically showers.
You can come over for dinner and we'll
Just
feed
use the
you and you can just take a bath.
Yeah. So she is like, she has a beautiful like outside area as well when we're at work. So she gets stinky, and so she's like a daily shower girly, and she doesn't like her paws wet, like as far as puddles and stuff. So she likes being clean before she plays, and that's her routine.
Yeah.
To not that I'm like spoiling her, it's just her routine. She loves
So
to
you,
shower.
so you do this, not Trevor?
We both do.
Okay.
And she's usually better if it's one person, because she gets very excited if mom and dad are both like helping her get a shower. But yeah, we bring her inside, and then she just goes straight. The shower's already running. She goes to the shower and sits and waits in the shower for us.
I'm learning new things about your life, Megan. She's talked to me more often.
And she did go to a boot camp when she was a baby.
I remember that.
Yeah. She's a good girl.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask like a funny question. If dogs could talk for a day, what do you think would be the first thing that your dog would say to you?
Yeah.
Or maybe or just dogs in general, but the question is for like kids. Do you have a dog?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I have 3.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. They were away when we were shooting.
Stella would be like, hey, do you have any food? Because she's a little food. and I had to put her on a diet because she was growing this way and not this way.
Yeah.
So any treat, any food, we had her at it. So she goes to training sessions with us. She's kind of like our demo dog, like our helper. And so this woman had like, what did she have? Like cheese or hot dog in her fanny pack with her dog. And so she's walking Stella and I had hit her dog and we were kind of doing these like circles and she stopped in front of this woman. She was like, can she have like a treat? And we were like, yeah. So she fed her. So every time she passed this woman, Stella would stop and sit and look at this woman.
Like
That's
she was
amazing.
trick-or-treating. Like she was trick-or-treating.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That is-
So she likes eating.
What about Willie?
Yeah.
Like I feel like
No.
so she has her big Roddy and
He's
he
so
just
goofy.
like
he's
just
a
a
couch potato.
yeah.
Or maybe there's just not a thought behind this.
Probably
I don't
not.
think there's a thought
He
there.
wouldn't say anything.
He's just like, I'm so handsome and I'm gonna go lay on the couch.
It would probably make your job a lot easier if you could hear dogs.
Oh, 100%.
Or even their owners,
Yes.
what they're thinking.
Well, let me ask this question that we had here in that vein there. So if dogs had a secret society, what do you think they'd be meeting about?
How to kill the cat.
No.
I think treats and food.
Treats and
Treats
food.
and
Just
food,
food.
strategies,
Yes.
tactical strategies on how to get through some food.
Yeah.
How to get table food.
Yes.
Right.
So here's a
You know, they hear you open the refrigerator and they always hear that cheese tray come out.
okay.
I know some dogs like obsessed with ice, so when like
Yes.
their owner would like they
Stella's
can
an
hear
ice
it
girl.
and they just go to it. Yeah.
We had our last dog, Lucky, who we had him 22 years.
Yeah. We don't know how.
Yeah, he was a Corgi Rat Terrier, so Stubby would look like a bat. We got him at SPCA, and he was one day from being destroyed. And Megan was little, and I get on Sunday, I'm just chilling after church, and my wife Lisa's like, "I'm gonna take Megan to the SPCA." I'm like,
What do you think is gonna happen?
so they went. I'm like, they've been there for a while. So I'm like, so I get a call. It's like, can you come over for me? They're about to close. I'm like, really? But you can see I have no say. I don't have any authority in my life. And that's fine. I get it. So we went there. We get him. So he lived. So my point here with Lucky is that
He lived up to his name.
yeah. I said you're one lucky dog, and so that's
22 years, wow.
right. You know, long life. But there's a point here. I'm landing the plane. He would eat. I don't understand this. Like I would give him sometimes broccoli or peas. Wouldn't eat them. Then I would see him eating cat poop from the litter. I'm like, I cannot
They
understand.
love
why-
it. Like if you Google it, it's just a thing.
Yeah, dogs are gross.
No matter the
Dogs are
training,
gross.
they want a cat poop.
Or dogs that like rub in dead frogs
Yes.
on the road or
Oh.
like,
okay.
yes.
I feel like he was not 22.
It was 22.
It was. Wouldn't it be like 17, like max for a dog?
I think the oldest dog ever was like 30 some years old. It was
'Cause
like in
I was trying to
Australia
do the
or
math
something.
Of how old I was. Bella, I feel like would know how old he was.
All right, so we're gonna do some research. I know we were getting to the 20, right? Wasn't it 20 years? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That just seems more.
That's still old.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He was with us a long
He
time.
was very lucky.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. He was. So that's a lucky dog.
Yeah.
He's a,
So what is next for WiggleButts? I know-
yeah. What's
I
next?
think just like growth within our building, you know, making like it almost makes us feel even more like legit. Like we have a place that like you can come to now, like something like
Yeah.
physical. Cause
But
like
it's still like we saw a client and we saw her in the building, but some of her issues were at home. So then we went and did a home visit so that we could help her through the home visit, the home behavior, because obviously at the training center, the dog doesn't act the same as when
they're in their
somebody-
comfort zone.
or when they ring the doorbell that they're at home, their behavior
Right.
at home. So
So, I mean, it's really well branded. I mean, giving you kudos and on a marketing communication agency, it's very well done. Good job.
Thank you.
ladies. I'm sure you weren't looking for my approval, but just giving you,
but it's good.
so I officially endorse WiggleButts, people. You do a fantastic job. I see you on the news feed, professionally and personally with your business. Awesome. You're doing the right things locally. You know, created an incredible footprint, paw print in here.
If you will.
And you know, so could this be a franchise?
I don't know. We like the small, like in the family, like local kind of feel.
Okay.
So, especially with like,
just grow it here with more people.
Yeah, especially people like, it's like, oh, I get both of you when I come to a training session. It's like, yep, you get both of us. We definitely within the past like year or so, like trying to help, local rescues, and we're even going to within the next little bit kind of schedule hey, I just adopted a dog, what now kind of workshop where it's just like to kind of set them up for success. And then we've kind of been toying with the idea, which we just need to do it. Video is not my thing. It's not our thing. Like I can talk on my story all day long, but as soon as the camera comes on, I'm like, oh, I don't know about anything.
Well, you're doing pretty well here.
Hey,
and by the way, you share a bed with somebody that is really comfortable with cameras.
Yeah. So kind of even like creating like e-courses where people can kind of go
That is exactly what I was
to like self-pace.
So we need an e-course on.
That's a great idea.
I want my dog in the wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that some stuff cool. Maybe you could learn or do ahead of time.
Yeah, you can just do it once and then resell that. That's a really good idea. You get access, with a login, you have the videos.
So it's kind of like self-paced, like
do it.
Yeah. So with, this is something that came naturally, just happened, and do you have any advice for someone who hasn't quite taken that leap to just go for it?
It's definitely scary. And when it was just me doing like dog walking and stuff like that, and she still had a real job. And it's just like, come on, like, let's do it. And like some things, kind of fell in line, and then it was just like, hey, full time, like her doing it. And then our next, like, we've always just had like scary, like, okay, to the next and to the next. And, kind of scaling back on our pet sitting and dog walking, into, for the future, like full-time training, where either the idea is hiring somebody to take on that end and we're just training. But just kind of like doing it as vague as that is, just like, hey, what's the worst that can happen?
But it's true, because a lot of people, I'm sorry to quote Taylor Swift, but
oh my god,
she just said it in an interview how a lot of people focus on polishing the doorknob instead of just opening the door.
Ooh,
and
that's good.
So a lot of people, they just plan, never actually make.
And some aspects were like that. We're like, all right, we're gonna do this, and this, and then it's just like the business happens, and then it's hard to kind of like,
you gotta pivot, like we've been talking about, and adjust. So
you can train the trainers too, so you can expand and scale that way, right? To build a force of people, like
because we're such like a community over competition. Like in the beginning, there was like a lot of, somebody wasn't too kind to us in the beginning, and it was just like, well, they don't know about us, or they don't know our background, like things like that. But we're a huge like community, like no competition. Like there's going to be plenty of dogs for everyone.
Exactly.
And it's just like what we might be not strong at, somebody else could be. So it's just like we collaborate with a lot of trainers all over the country. I have tons of trainer friends that they're just an Instagram message away.
I like that.
And somebody up north that she's a fantastic dog trainer, and I refer up there if she needs it. So that's a huge thing for us too, is like, it's not competition. It's not who's bigger, better, has the most clients. I'd rather create there's room for everyone,
And how can we serve people well?
Exactly.
And see, everybody, that mindset and that spirit is why they're successful, because that is an abundance mindset. It is open, and nothing but good could come out of that. So, congratulations.
We're
Thank
so
you.
proud
to have you. I'm actually so proud of both of you. Oh my God.
And it's just crazy because like sometimes you feel like, oh, you're just the dog walker, you're just the dog trainer. People all the time like, oh my God, I would just love to play with dogs all day. And I'm just like, that's like this much part of it. I'm like, when you have to like do the emails and all of that stuff and all the behind the scenes, it's not so much. There are some days where I'm just like, I just want to train the dogs. I don't want to have to update the website. I don't want to send out the emails. I don't want to do the...
Yeah, you're like, I wish that was all.
Yes.
This is ownership,
Yes.
for sure. Well, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you for being on.
Absolutely.
I can't believe it flew. The time flew. We're 52 minutes we've been doing this. This is the kind of folks you both are. Like, thank you. I could sit here another hour just talking, but then we would have crickets in the... I hit the right one.
Hopefully
I hit the right one.
Your building, you're not dealing with any more snakes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Speaking of crickets.
That day I went in, I was going to we had sessions. I go in and we have this kiddie pool that we fill with like those plastic balls for like dog enrichment and the puppies and stuff. So I was I was taking it out of the closet and I I grab it, and there's just like this snake, and he's looking at me, and I'm like,
he wants to get trained.
like we all, like it was like we were staring at each other for so long, and I'm like,
You made eye contact with the snake.
I'm like, oh my God. And he wasn't a small snake. He wasn't a small
Oh my
snake.
gosh.
So I call her and I was like, you're not going to like this. And she was like, oh God, what? And I was like, we have a snake in the closet.
My mind did not go to snake in the closet.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So
that's
then,
the last thing you thought.
yes.
amazing. So who got rid of the snake?
He made his way
He
out.
made his way out. Okay.
He made his way out. We called reinforcement. We called Jean Taylor, and she
Oh,
was
yeah.
going to come with some snappers and go pick him up,
Yeah.
but he kind of wiggled his way.
Yeah, she's responsible for 3 cats that we have, by the way. Thanks, Jean.
We were fostering as well.
And I ended up giving them names, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, so
That's the problem. I just had a friend he was fostering, and his wife named it. I was like, well, that's your dog
it's
now.
our dog. So we have Luke, Leia, and Chewy.
Yeah.
Aw.
And Luke's here. He came here.
Well, thank you so much for being on.
Of
Yeah.
course.
We love
Thanks
you guys.
for having us.
Awesome.
So
Thank
excited
you.
to see what continues with WiggleButts.
These
So-
are true diamonds in Delaware, creating an impact, influential in just setting a pace. I love pace setters and leaders, and both of you are very inspirational. It's nice to know you. And I mean that. That's actually, I know you're laughing because I've been saying jokes all the time, but actually that's my first heartfelt. Like,
Do you want to say one more dog joke before I wrap it up? Because you had so many. They're in the red ones.
all right, so
One more.
every time I turn a dog, I think it's a fetching idea.
I use that as an Instagram caption a lot. Like,
what-
you look quite fetching today.
I love that.
So what are the dachshund? Why did it sit down during its training?
Oh.
It's just too long to stand. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Good job. And with that, right brainers, that wraps up another gem of an episode with the creative side of things with Lucy and Rachel.
Yeah. So if you want to see our smiling faces, Megan, this is what you do, right?
Yes.
So watch YouTube if you want to see us. So there's watchers and there's listeners. If you want to watch us, we're on YouTube.
And you're a podcast listener, so yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For those of you who are always on the go, and we have your back with that, so you can tune in and let your creativity flow, whether you're on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and even Google Podcasts.
Yes,
We are practically everywhere.
We are everywhere. So thank you to our right brainers, our ever growing community. We're continuing to give you content, give you things that you really want to see. Thanks for the feedback. And we appreciate the love, and we love all of you. Thank you, guys.
And always remember that the world needs more of your creativity. So
right,
with
so
that,
go create something.